fight hard. We take it, we be optimistic, and we gonna win games, bro.
All right, I am super pumped today. We got something brand new in the works. We got George Carmi, as always, is going to put all the clips together, make it all look pretty. We'll ask the questions as we go along. Nick Akridge from Pro Football Focus is here today. What we're going to do is I bought the All 22 film last year from the NFL package. I don't use it nearly enough. I'm not smart enough to use it the way it's supposed to be used. So nobody I can think of that does it better than Nick Akridge. So we're super excited. Hopefully every Tuesday at 5:30, we're going to do one of these, break down the films. If you have in the future plays you'd like broken down, hit us up with them. Hashtag Ask Akridge, and we'll try to get to them in the future weeks. Okay? Fellas, I'm pumped for this thing. I don't know about you. George, let's get it going.
Yeah, super pumped. Thanks for coming, Nick. I appreciate it. Let's pull up the videos.
Yeah, man, I've been really looking forward to this. Just kind of get an outlet to walk through some film, and yeah, hopefully it helps some people. So first play I picked out, I just wanted to talk about this throw with Howell. Basically, just kind of show his toughness, show his ability within a pocket, arm strength, touch, reading a defense, all that sort of things is kind of fully on display here with this one. So I'll just let it run real quick. Nice big catch to Logan Thomas. Huge play, huge catch. Again, this is the kind of point that I was talking about with the tight pocket. You can see it collapsing pretty quickly. I mean, when that ball's thrown, he's hit right away. Perfect placement where only Thomas can catch it. Big catch for him. So just kind of talk.
Huge catch by him after taking that huge hit 2 weeks ago, by the way. Like when he did that hit, I was like, oh my goodness, here we go.
Yeah. So pre-snap.
Here we go.
Pre-snap, you've got too high. Eagles play a lot of too high shells. They play quarters. They play quarters match, whatever you want to call it. But kind of coming across here once we started, I think that's Robinson in motion. Send him across the screen. That kind of shows you that the Eagles are playing some sort of man coverage. So that's kind of a key for Howell to look at once these two linebackers kind of switch that responsibility. He's got Brian Robinson. So essentially what you're looking at in coverage is this safety is going to be on Logan Thomas. This corner's here. This corner's here. He's going to have Robinson in the flat. He's man here. He's going to be kind of your deep safety guy. And then this guy's going to kind of sit here in this hole and just kind of lurk and pick up any crossers. So running through it, you've got two kind of slants, and then Samuel kind of sits it down right here. But the big one here is Logan Thomas, kind of a dino route. A lot of people call it that, where you kind of take that straight stem, a couple steps out, and then break towards the post. It's a very good concept against this, and the reason it works so well is just because of the leverage that they play with. So we run this through. Howell gives a quick glance over here to kind of keep this safety at bay, and then he's looking here. This is the read right here. He's looking at this is Blankenship right here, and you can kind of see the leverage advantage here. If you look at where Logan Thomas is, he's here. This corner's playing outside leverage. So in Howell's mind, he knows that the in-breaking route is going to be open just based solely on the leverage. So look at when he throws this. I would like just a slight tad more anticipation, but that's just me being a little nitpicky. But it doesn't matter when you got the arm strength that he does, stands in that tight pocket, delivered it. 32 doesn't really have a chance. Ball's in a good spot. Good catch by Logan Thomas.
Great throw.
And I'm assuming that's the first read, Nick. He was on the first read there.
Yeah, he's just kind of looking at that whole side. He's looking at the coverage kind of showed him it's man. And then once he sort of sees the safety creep down, he knows it's going to be cover one man here. So he knows these are going to be covered, especially with this inside helper here. He knows Slay has got this. This is kind of more just for design to kind of keep this safety at bay. And then he's looking here the whole time. And once he sees this sort of cushion here and that outside leverage, he knows he's got Thomas for a big game.
And
I
then
wish we'd run more motion.
They do. I mean, honestly, everyone in the NFL now, it's if you're not running any motion, you're stuck in the Stone Age essentially. But they do run a decent amount of motion. The Chiefs love it. I mean, they do it all the time with Travis Kelce, where if you ever watch a Chiefs game, you'll just see watch Travis Kelce just sort of creep. He's just taking like 2 or 3 steps from his left or his right or whatever, and that just kind of gives Mahomes an indication of what kind of coverage they're doing and how they'll pass stuff off.
And then Nick, just kind of educate me a little bit. So Brian Robinson came across the backfield in motion. What I'm seeing is that the man coverage is being handed off to another defender, correct? And they're playing cover 1. Is that what I'm seeing on the defense right here?
Yep. So this is where we kind of have it right now. So again, this is showing you man coverage pre-snap just based on the personnel you have. You've got a linebacker here against the running back, so that's showing you it's man coverage, and you've got corners on everyone else.
Gotcha.
And then, so as you said, as he motions across, you see that linebacker stay with him. Then he pushes it off pre-snap. So now they've sort of switched roles. So 41 was going to kind of be your hole cover defender here. He kind of sits in this hole, picks up any sort of crossing routes. But now he's pushed out here. It just saves 52 from trying to run all the way across the field. If you have the Commanders sort of run a quick little bubble screen where he blocks here, he blocks here, he blocks here, and he's coming around here for the catch.
Exactly.
It gives 41 a better chance of making the play than having 52 run across the field.
If I saw correctly, I think he gets picked right here too when he comes down around the full motion. The defender, let's see if he gets picked right here.
At the bottom of the screen,
Yeah. So it's small for a small window, but yeah, the Logan Thomas throw was definitely the one to go. That's fantastic.
Yep. All right. Next up, if we go in chronological order, I wanted to talk about the Brian Robinson touchdown run here. Run plays don't get nearly as much credit. They're tougher to kind of have these big gains, but whenever you get a 15-yard touchdown run, it's something you got to really look at here. So we'll just kind of look at this, let it run real quick. You can see from the start here, under the center, it's an outside zone run. The key there is just kind of the path the running back's taking. He's going to hit here, hit this hole, and then cut up. So that's showing us outside zone. All of these blockers are trying to work a gap over. Easy run for Robinson. Just make one person somewhat miss, and you're in for a touchdown. So that's about one of the easiest 15-yard runs you're going to have as a running back in the NFL. I think I could probably get 4 yards out of this and then go down. But if we look at it from the end zone view, I like this other one better.
He looks healthy.
He does look healthy.
He does. I'm a big fan of Brian Robinson.
Yeah.
But so as we kind of look at this outside zone, what we're doing here is Leno's going to kick out here. Charles is going to start here, scoop up to this linebacker. Gates is going to come around here, hopefully kind of turn Jordan Davis. And then we've got Cosme getting up here to this second level, Wiley blocking here, and then Bates just kind of holding key on the backside there. So that's, in a perfect world, is how it's supposed to be blocked. And this play turns out to be a perfect world. So, again, you got it here. Leno kicks out. Pretty easy block. Just don't let him cross your face. He's good there. Then we look
nice
at
job of Leno, and Sadiq
Charles.
gets over too and makes a nice block.
Yep. So Charles here. These two are the key blocks, or not so much Charles, but it's the Gates block that's really kind of key here. Again, like I said, he blocks here, and he needs to get up here. Don't let 41 back in that B gap. So what he does, gets up. 41 kind of widens a little bit too much for my liking, makes it way too easy of a block for Charles. So that's easy for Charles, easy hole. Again, that's one of the biggest holes you'll see in the NFL. But the key block here is Nick Gates, and I thought this was his best game as a Commander.
Oh, wow.
I really liked kind of seeing, especially against the defensive line of Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter and Fletcher Cox and all that sort of stuff. It was
100%.
It was really
Nick,
good.
I was amazed because I thought before the game that was going to be the problem, right? That the Eagles front was just going to whoop us and take the game over. And I got to say, they did not. Like, they certainly didn't wreck the game.
No,
and
they did a good job. There were a few tough moments from Wiley. There were a few tough moments from Cosme, even the same with Leno, but they more than held their own here. But these are my favorite,
particularly after the sack fest the week before, right? You just knew it was going to be nasty.
Yeah, I think we were all nervous about that.
I love Charles here, by the way. So Charles basically, has a tandem block with Nick Gates and kind of peels off and blocks 41. I love that.
Yeah,
and
it's more so 41.
It's kind of running in the back.
Charles. He's a little too wide. I'd like him, if I'm the Eagles coach here, I'd like him to kind of push this back in a little bit more. Don't let yourself get pushed out that easily. But This is my favorite block. I love watching outside zone blocks. When you're able to work a gap over and kind of push someone out of their gap, it's just beautiful. So Gates is going to come around here. And again, you have to think if everyone gets off the ball at the same time, 90's already got an advantage in terms of leverage on where he is. He's just shoulder pads are here. His shoulder pads are here. It's a lot of work for the center to get across and turn him. And that's exactly what he does. These are some of the blocks that get the highest grades.
I was going to ask you about that. So Nick, can you kind of walk us through that? So PFF, obviously they're going to grade players on display. Would Nick Gates get the highest grade on the score? Like how does that break down? Like what are you looking for from a PFF perspective here?
Yeah, we're looking for gaps. We can see here, pre-snap, we can see what defenders in what gap. He's got contain out here. 41 is going to get in the B gap. 90 should be in this A gap. 52 should be here. 91 should be here. He should be here, and I believe he should be here. I have to watch that again, but
gotcha.
We're just looking for gaps. Are you moved out of your gap? Are you moving yourself out of your gap? Stuff like that. So when you're working essentially a gap over to Jordan Davis here, it's just really impressive. Again, he gets help from Charles. That's really good. But to be able to turn him completely right here
good call.
is the key. That's the key block on this whole thing, is just getting him completely turned around. Whenever you can get your, again, he starts from here and then he turns his whole body so that the only thing you see is Gates' back right here.
Fantastic.
That's the key block. It's a great play on Jordan Davis. That's essentially what springs it. The other thing that really kind of helps is what you'd want is this linebacker to kind of stay over the top, but he tries to cheat. And he goes under this block here. Makes it 10 times easier for Cosme to block that. Gives Robinson plenty of room. 52's got no chance to make a play again. And then again, just make one person miss. He doesn't even really make him miss. He does get somewhat tackled, but it's too late.
Too late.
That's a touchdown.
Not a whole ton of people are going to want to tackle Brian Robinson in the open field with the head of steam on, I think.
Another thing I noticed, so Wiley's job here is just to cut Fletcher Cox right here. But watch Fletcher Cox at the end of this. He's not a huge fan of the cut block. You can see him throw a little elbow. Not a fan of that cut block. Little elbows.
A little jab. Okay.
Back of the head there.
Let me go full screen here.
That's what happens when you're in the league this long. You expect not to be getting cut like that.
That's a veteran move right there. I like it. Let's pull it up.
So that is that play. Let's go to. Wanted to talk next about the Eagles touchdown to take the lead, in under with I think about under 2 minutes to go. Kind of crazy of them to go for a touchdown here, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I guess they are betting on their defense, and why not? They have a great defense, but So essentially, what we're looking at here is they've been doing this to Forbes all game. They've been setting double moves up. They've been basically forcing him to bite on plays all game. So what you have here is just an A.J. Brown sort of double move, and then he's gone. Forbes is going to bite on it. He's been biting the whole game, and even more so when you're just kind of expecting run. You're expecting quick passes. So he's going to bite on it. In terms of coverage, we've got, pre-snap here. We've got a 2-high shell. Commanders run a lot of quarters, cover 8, whatever you want to call it, cover 7, all those sort of different things. You talk to anybody.
Nick, real quick, explain that just a little bit for the folks watching that may not know what that is.
Yeah, so quarters is kind of the bracket term for it all, but different coaches have different ways of talking about it. Saban calls these sort of coverage cover 7. You can call it cover 4 match, quarters, whatever you want. It's everyone has different terms for anything, and the more you get kind of into the X's and O's of it all, you'll realize there's 100 different terms for the same thing.
Yes.
So that's just essentially what it is. We call this in our system. We're just going to call this cover 4. A lot of other people will call it something different, but we just like to keep it all at a blanket sort of quarters coverage here. But
Nick, did you notice, because I forgot to pay attention to it the other day when I was rewatching, is Forbes traveling with AJ, or is he just happened to be on AJ when the big plays happen?
He was traveling a bit. I have to rewatch again to go see if he was traveling every single play. I don't know if he was.
Well, that's not normal for them, is it?
No, they used to have Fuller was strictly playing on the right side, and then whoever they had on the left side over the past couple of years would stay on the left side. I think I hope they go back to that. I think it's something that you don't try to change it if it works, and it's been working. So
I was listening to Kime today, and Kime basically said that Emmanuel Forbes has speed and length, and they kind of like the matchup with AJ Brown, but obviously it didn't really turn out that well.
Yep. All right. So coverage here again, it's quarters. I say quarters, but essentially what you're looking at here is man coverage here, man coverage here. These two are essentially bracketing this receiver. So if this receiver goes outside, St. Juice is going to pick him up. If he goes inside, Forrest is going to pick him up. You have the similar thing up here. Curl's playing inside. Davis is out here. So they're bracketing this tight end here. So the same thing. If he's outside of the flat, Davis is going to take him. If he's inside here and kind of sits down as a crosser, that's for Barton. If he's up the post and kind of takes a seam, that's for Curl. So everybody has a different role based on the routes that are presented. So as we run this play through, Goddard's going to sit down here. So that's what Curl's waiting for. He sits down. So Barton's got him. Davis sees him here. So Davis needs to get out to the flat now to pick him up. You've got this outside release down here. So St. Juice is manned on him. Force is just now helping with anything coming down across. And again, you've got man here. You've got man here already. That was never going to change. And as we run it through, just a slight little double move by A.J. Brown has Forbes. Again, he's sitting on the short stuff because, he's expecting, a quick short pass, some sort of run play because you're thinking they're just trying to get into field goal range. Easy throw and catch. Perfect ball from Jalen Hurts. I love this from A.J. Brown, though. It's kind of a veteran move that he does is it's a term called late hands. So you show late hands. You're just looking this whole time. And at the very last second, you throw your hands up in the air to catch it. It allows you to kind of get another advantage on the corner.
Because the cornerback can't read your hands right now.
Yeah, he can't see it. If you're putting your hands up right here, waiting for the ball, the corner's going to sell out. He's going to go all for it. But if you put it up here, he's got no chance. So I like that from A.J. Brown. It's what makes him.
And to your point, Nick, a lot of corners are going to get stuck on that because nobody expected him to be throwing balls to the end zone.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame him for biting on this. I think 90% of corners in the NFL, given the situation, given what's kind of happening, would kind of hesitate on that. They would bite on that. It's just, credit to the Eagles. They wanted to go score a touchdown, and they knew what they had. So that's what they did.
Yeah, so Nick, honestly, is everyone playing sound defense here, or is this a bad play call? Because this is a very polarizing, provocative play for the fan base. I assume like everyone played it correctly. He just got beat. Is that essentially what you see? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's played pretty much exactly how you're asking for it. Again, they've got it covered. They're just expecting. They're not expecting for the Eagles to go for it. Essentially, go for the home run play. So that's why they want these guys playing inside, kind of sit down on any routes. But again, with them playing inside leverage like that, it's a key for a quarterback to recognize that's going to be man coverage most of the time when you're playing inside leverage. Yeah. When I talk about inside leverage, it just means, he's out here and his feet are inside of him. That just kind of shows you that he's going to be inside. Your best bet is these outside throws or deep throws essentially. But no, this is played perfectly, covered perfectly here. Davis passes him off. I'd like him a little quicker to the flat, but again, I'm being nitpicky there. Curl can't do anything once Goddard sits down here. He's just going to kind of look for any sort of help. Same with Forrest. Once 13 breaks out wide, that's all on St. Juice. Fuller's got Smith here, and he's playing it the same way. I mean, he's a little farther back than Forbes is here, but he's sitting on that first move by Smith. He's biting on it as well. So
yeah, is Smith doing a stop and go? Or is he doing a hitch?
He's just doing a hitch.
Yeah, okay.
Hurts never looks that way. This is one spot they're going the whole way.
Yeah, for
they also set it up. Mark Bullock, who most people follow, kind of went through this. They set this up for a while now. They were doing double moves on this drive before Forbes got burnt. They never targeted him. Then next play, he just did a nice little hitch route, sat down. Forbes was late to it because he was expecting the double move. Then they went back to the double move. So they were kind of toying with him this whole drive and really the whole game.
Oh, well, and just like situationally, it's tough here, right? Because you can see they're also not trying to crush the pocket here because they really don't want the quarterback slipping out for 15 yards when they think they're worried about, protecting field goal range. So it was like, what are we really supposed to do here? Just a perfect play call on offense, I think.
Yep. They knew exactly what they wanted to do,
Yeah.
and it worked out for them. Almost cost them the game at the end, though. But
Yeah, it's true.
this little
Well, yeah, that we haven't said enough about, right? You just kick the
that
field
little
goal
taunt
and win
right
the
there
football
almost
game.
cost them the game.
Exactly.
All right, but let's go
It was
to
brutal.
the game tying touchdown.
Great play.
I was actually surprised that they didn't flag him for putting the ball down there in his lap, or what was essentially his lap.
All right, so 2 seconds left here. Everyone in the world knows exactly what's happening. They're going to just go to the end zone. The routes here are just go to the end zone and sit down. Go to the end zone, sit down. Go to the end zone, sit there. Go to the end zone, sit, and just essentially box out your corner. That's what you're going to do. It usually doesn't work out too well. That's when the quarterback has to kind of start scrambling around, and then you get backyard football, and it becomes all chaos. What they've done here is, I'm not sure if this corner is correct in how he's playing it. Just kind of looking at the rest of how they have this. Again, it's tough to sort of tell here, but outside leverage here from this corner shows that he's willing to pass anything off inside. Outside leverage here as well. They're going to kind of bracket that there. Outside leverage here. But he's playing inside. Again, you can sort of see it here. He's playing a little bit inside of Jahan Dotson.
Yeah.
So that's why Howell looks there right away as we let it run. He's looking there the whole way because he notices the inside leverage. So he knows that Dotson is going to break this. He's going to sit down here and break this outside. So essentially it's a nice route that he runs here. And instead of immediately breaking it outside, he kind of turns in that way, shields the defender, and it's just a perfect job of making yourself open there. And again, I'm not sure if they're supposed to be playing with this with inside leverage. It doesn't make much sense, especially from the near hash right here. It's the quicker option for Howell. But yeah, it's a great route by Dotson. It's
great timing by Howell.
Yeah, if you kind of slow this down here, look at when he triggers it. He's throwing it right now. Dotson hasn't broken the route yet. Perfect timing.
And he's got a laser beam here.
Yep. There's no question about Howell's arm strength. That's the least of anyone's concerns with Sam Howell.
I love that. And Nick, educate me. So what defense are we looking at right now? Like, I'm kind of like confused. Is it like a cover 2 where they're dropping back and man, and the safeties are playing in the middle of the field? Or what are they doing?
It's essentially another form of quarters. Again, when you talk about quarters, there's a million different combinations of how you're going to play things based on the formation you're presented, the personnel, all that sort of stuff. Essentially what they're doing here is, he's going to be playing outside leverage. He's got man essentially on him. They're going to bracket this here. He's got man on him with inside leverage. Again, I'm not sure if that's doing that. They're going to essentially bracket this here. He's got this running back if he breaks out. And then you kind of zone off it. It's just a hybrid of man and zone essentially as pretty much.
They call it quarters because you're breaking the field into fours, right, Nick?
Essentially, that's why it was originally called that. Nowadays, when it's not so strictly like you're paying, like you used to have, like, these four, he's got this quarter, this guy's got this quarter, this guy's got this quarter. Anyone that enters these zones, that's your man. It's not really like that anymore. And like 60 or 70% of defenses now are just are zone match schemes where it's a mix of zone and match. Like if this guy runs through your zone, he's your man. Or if this, route is broken this way, that's your man. So that's essentially how most defenses are played right now. And this sort of quarter shell is really popular right now.
Yeah, because it allows you not to get beat deep more times than not, right? And that's how we get into this quote unquote bend but don't break defense.
Yep. Absolutely.
Do you like what Jack Del Rio is doing right now with the defense?
Well, we're going to talk about that with the last one.
Yeah.
They call that a segue.
Getting spicy. Let's do it.
All right. So we all know what Jack Del Rio defense is. They're slow out the gates. I've credited that a lot to kind of the turnover with, your personnel and who you have and stuff like that. And I always think that it takes time for members of the secondary to trust each other again. Like I mentioned with these defenses that they play, it takes a lot of trust in the guy next to you to like be confident that when you pass this route off, someone's going to be there for you, which is why I always kind of saw the busted coverages early on in the past couple of years that's kind of been why, and I haven't been too harsh on Del Rio. But this call had me screaming at my monitor. So this is the Eagles' last offensive play right before they kicked the game-winning field goal. Right before this, they went with a cover zero. So cover zero is essentially these guys are all blitzing. They're all blitzing the quarterback, and then you're just strictly man coverage here. Just strictly man coverage everywhere. They ran this coverage on the previous play, and that's what got the intentional grounding from Jalen Hurts because the pressure got there quick. He tossed it up, intentional grounding. Now you're out of field goal range. So in your mind as an offensive coordinator for the Eagles, what you want is you want to get it to about in between this area here. You want to get your team back into here to give yourself a reasonable chance at a field goal. Del Rio should know that. So he should be kind of, playing some sort of softer zone where you're kind of protecting these sort of quick routes that they're kind of giving you here. Instead, he goes back to the cover zero. So like I said before, all of these guys are going to blitz the quarterback. And then you've got just straight up man coverage here, man coverage here, man coverage here, man here, and man here. So Hurts kind of recognizes that. It's pretty obvious what they're going to do here. There's no disguising it at all. They're running cover zero, especially with this linebacker creeped up. You see another one creeped up. So Hurts knows that. There's no twist up front. There's no stunt. There's no game. There's nothing exotic about it to kind of get to the quarterback quicker, kind of invite pressure. So Hurts has all day back there. Forbes has no chance. None of these corners have any chance of getting to the receiver in time. He's running a quick slant, easy pitch and catch, get you right to where you need to be for a field goal, 36, 37-yard line. And that's how they kick the game.
And if you pause it about midway through the play, pause it right here, Nick. Everybody's open right there. Smith on the bottom, I guess, or a Swift. I don't know what number that is right there. The other player more in the middle of the field. There's 3 or 4 options right there.
Yep.
It seems like Jack Del Rio is willing to concede a couple of yards on the catch. Like, why doesn't he play? Do you think? Being aggressive, maybe press me, maybe beat me over the top.
If you want to play cover zero, I would prefer to press it up. I get you don't want to be beat over the top for a game-winning touchdown, but you're conceding a 50-yard field goal here is what you're doing, and Jake Elliott is a good field goal kicker. It's not
he
like
was ripping them all game long.
Yeah, so to me it doesn't make too much sense. I love the cover zero call on second down. I loved that. That was great. It worked out perfectly. For me here, I would want something similar to how we kind of saw on the Eagles touchdown for A.J. Brown that I kind of mentioned before. Something similar to that where you're kind of sit on short routes. If you get beat over the top, I get it.
You roll the dice. You went for it. Yeah, exactly right.
But this sort of kind of soft cover zero it's just never going to work. It's just so easy. It's so easy for them.
Nick, am I crazy? But it feels like last year they were dropping out of that into the middle of the field. It feels like they're doing a lot more blitzing this year. And they don't really get home with the blitz. I actually think I prefer, it's funny. In week 2, I remember saying one of the keys of the game was more screens and more intentional blitzes. I don't feel like the blitzes have been that helpful this year. Maybe just rushing the 4, trying to get home and dropping back into covers would be more successful.
Their most success when it comes to getting to the quarterback is just Jonathan Allen, Daron Payne, Montez Sweat, Chase Young.
Yes.
Just win your matchups. It's a lot tougher against an offensive line like the Eagles because, again, you've got all pros almost. You're Pro Bowlers like everywhere here. Lane Johnson's one of the best to ever do it. Jason Kelsey, one of the best to ever do it. Landon Dickerson is a very, very good left guard now. And you've got it's tough. Like Allen and Payne had a very tough day. There was no real pressure on Jalen Hurts. So you should know that. And if you want to get exotic with the blitz, I'd want these 2 up here in this A gap right away. There's no reason you're not
right. Why does Curl have to delay this thing, right? Like you're not surprising anybody, right?
You're not hiding anything. There's no back in the backfield for him to be. I'd want him up here, run some sort of stunt where you're kind of looping around, get someone in his face instantly. But it's a bland rush. Everyone's in their gap. Easy to pick up. Easy pitch and catch.
Too easy.
Yeah. It's something they'll have to fix going forward. And it's interesting that because you're right, the teams and the defenses start off slow with both him and Ron, as far as I can tell. And I get what you're saying, that it takes time to like piece it together. But outside of Forbes, these guys have been together 2, 3, 4 years now in that secondary. It feels like if ever there was a year to hit the road running, it was this year, right?
Yeah, and I think they have been. I think they've been pretty solid. I haven't noticed as many, busted coverage situations and whatnot. So, excuse me, it's been better. I mean, teams are really just targeting Forbes right now, and we saw that in the Denver game. We saw it with the Bills. We saw it again against the Eagles, and it's tough right now for him, and they're going to keep doing it until he figures it out.
Yeah, because nobody wants to. Sorry, George, but nobody wants to throw at Kendall Fuller right now.
Yeah, no, I mean they know that Fuller's going to. Fuller's got it. I mean, it's not perfect from Kendall Fuller, but they know that they have a much easier option on the other side. So,
and then Nick, my question is there one player on defense or on offense that's really like surprising you, that's kind of sitting at above expected from your perspective, and then someone's kind of like you want them to step up a little bit?
Yeah, I would say Jamin Davis. I've been pretty impressed with what I've seen from him, just in the run game, especially. He's been just a lot quicker, hitting his gap, trusting what his eyes are saying, reading the offensive line and all that sort of stuff. He's just been a lot better at it. There's still some moments in coverage like we saw this past weekend where he struggles a bit, but I've been pretty impressed with what he's done so far.
Sweet.
As for someone that's got to pick it up, I hate to say it because I love the guy, but I think Jonathan Allen needs to be a little bit more disruptive.
He's kind of been gone the past couple of games. I was curious about it.
He's had one really dominant game, but we're expecting that from him all the time. I think we need a little bit more from Jonathan Allen. Again, I hate saying it. I love the guy. I think he's our best defensive player. He's been our best defensive player for years.
What are you seeing though, Nick? Is it just like out schemed? Is he potentially injured? Like no explosiveness? Like what's the missing element?
I'm not sure. I gotta take a closer look at it. I mean, it's weird. I mean, usually Jonathan Allen just kind of has these moments. People have maybe picked up on it, but he's got one of the most dominant pass rush moves ever. It's called it's essentially just a hump move where he essentially crosses his arms and essentially picks up the offensive line and drives him back into the quarterback. Yeah, I haven't seen much success with that recently, and I mean Montez Sweat the first 2 games was playing great. Haven't heard much of him the past couple games. It's nice to have Chase Young back. He's slowly kind of getting back into it, but I think you just need more from your first rounders. I mean, I think you really do.
I agree.
It's interesting. This is not a new phenomenon with the team that when, and this is not a dig on Chase. I hope it doesn't come across that way, but it's not the first time Chase gets back and the unit as a group kind of takes a step back a little bit. Chase has been good and he's been around the quarterback, but it feels like as a group, I don't know. They don't feel quite as effective to me as they did when Chase wasn't out there.
You also have to think about who they're playing. Again, Bills have a great offensive line. Eagles have had arguably the best offensive line for the past 3 or 4 years. It's always going to be tough against these guys. So I think we kind of have to wait and see a little bit. If we don't get a dominant performance against the Bears, then we can start getting a little concerned. But
because that line is trash.
That's the nice way of putting it. Yeah.
Yes. I think that's the last one we've got, man. This was incredible.
Yeah.
I think we're on to something here. I hope that we'll keep it rocking. I think if we'll double check the time, but for those that tuned in today, I think we'll do this every Tuesday at 5:30, and I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, that was awesome, Nick. I learned a lot too. It was fantastic.
Yeah, man, it was good. Like I said, I always want to kind of an outlet to just kind of talk, and I can ramble forever about football plays. So I'm looking forward to it. And again, we can always do more than 5 plays. I've got plenty that we can do. So
yeah. Yep, this was a good start. I'm excited. All right, fellas. Well, then I will see you guys on Tuesday.
Sounds good. See you guys.
Yep.
All right, thanks, guys.